So you can tell that so far this trail has been much tamer than anything else I've been on. It is actually really beautiful. Hope you've been enjoying some of the scenery. It's interesting to see trees. There aren't that many of them compared to what we have back in New England, but this is considered the tree run. But we're stopped for the time being because the Suzuki Samurai at the back of the line dropped its rear drive shaft. So you can see that even on some of these tamer trails, anything can happen. And that's why it's great to have so many people who are here with you on the ride. I was surprised. I heard that. It was everyone stop, came across the CB, leader, stop. Something went up with the Samurai. Looks like they dropped a drive shaft. A couple minutes later, after we had stopped, word came over on the CB, yep, we're going to be reattaching the drive shaft, putting everything back together. We should be on the road in 10 minutes. That's pretty impressive and pretty remarkable that we've got people. Every time I've been wheeling, there's people who just they've done this before. They've been there, done that. They know how to handle it, and always something to learn. Unfortunately, I'm so far away from the back of the line that I can't go watch, because I'd love to just watch and see them work and see how they manage it. But in the meantime, as I mentioned yesterday, we wait and get to know the people who are around us and get on with the day. Well, good morning. So here we are on day 3 in Hurricane, Utah, or as I've learned, I believe the locals refer to it as Hurricane. So day 3, we're heading out on the trails again. We've got a little bit of a drive today, about 45 minutes. This is the only ride I'm doing that's pretty far outside. Actually, the only one that is outside of Hurricane. It's up in Gunlock, and will be quite a different ride, and probably in some ways a little bit more like what I'm used to, at least parts of it. There's supposed to be some trees, some woods, and there's supposed to be some rock, sharp, what they call sharp rock, which I guess is pretty much what we live with in New England. It's not the flat sandstone like we've been driving on. The other thing that's really good news is today I've been told is much more scenic. And when I asked them, well, why is it rated a 4, just like my last 2 rides were, and they're like, I have no clue why. It's definitely not a 4. So today's ride should be mellow, it should be scenic, it should be pretty chill, and I think that's what my heart needs today, after some of the challenges of the last couple of days. So once again, thanks for tuning in. We got a great morning, and we'll catch up with you out on the trails. I hope you enjoyed that video footage of our ride today. As you can see, it was a lot more relaxing and a lot more mellow than my last few days had been. To follow up, the Samurai did get repaired, did get fixed. It did take only 10, maybe 15 minutes, and we were back on the trail. What a great ride it was today, because it was, one, a beautiful day. There were incredible views. The video doesn't pick them up, but just being surrounded by cliffs on one side, mountains on another side, driving through the scrub and the brush, and there were a couple of interesting, slightly technical areas. There was also one area where actually two areas where we were right on the edge of a cliff, and they happened so fast in the video that you can't really see them. But interesting is we're kind of driving up, and there's a big drop off on the left and no guardrail, obviously. And so it was nice. It was interesting, but boy, did it give us excellent and beautiful views, and a good group of people again this time. So again, I hope you enjoyed it. It was nice for me to have a little bit of a respite. I know tomorrow's ride is potentially going to be challenging, a lot more like the first day. So that will be something to look forward to, but it was nice to have a break in the middle of that. I think 4 days of intense riding would have been a lot on me. I woke up this morning kind of tired and exhausted, and mentally as well as physically. And so this just came at the perfect time to just have a mellow ride outside. It was interesting. The one downer was probably that the wind was intense. There were times when we were up on top of some of the plateaus and up on the hills where the wind was just incredible. And again, the camera does a great job of filtering some of that out, but the sand was so thick blowing around that it was even hard to see some of the Jeeps in front of us at times. So that was the only downer, but it really didn't detract from the day. It just made us need to close our windows a lot more than we would have liked, since it was, again, 60 degrees or so today, which is just absolutely beautiful. I've been so blessed by the weather here. So I hope you enjoyed the video of the ride. And tomorrow we'll be back probably doing some rock crawling on a ride called West Rim, where we are riding right along the edge of the west rim of a canyon. So that should be interesting, and I look forward to sharing that with you tomorrow evening. It's time to talk about our song of the day, and if you recall, or if you've been following along, I've been going through, since I've been in Hurricane and haven't been listening to music for 6 to 8 hours a day, instead of picking an inspiring song that speaks to me while driving, I'm picking songs that speak to me in my life, and that are specifically tied to people who are close to me, either my family of origin or my nuclear family that I live with now. And it's time to move on to my nuclear family that I live with now, and that would be starting off with Elizabeth, my wife. And so there are a number of songs that Elizabeth and I could pick, or I could pick, to represent either our relationship or Elizabeth, or that remind me of meaningful moments in our lives. Elizabeth knows the song that I will pick, or at least the song that I would pick. And I'm not going to pick that one. She knows what it is, but I'm afraid if I picked it, it might shake people up a little bit, so I won't. You see what I did there, honey? But I am going to instead pick another song that's also been very much a part of our lives, almost from the very beginning. And that was the theme of our high school junior prom, the first dance that we went to together. And that was Eric Clapton's Wonderful Tonight. And so that was the theme that we ended up with as our prom theme, and not the one that Elizabeth and I would have chosen. But Wonderful Tonight was a great, wonderful evening, and it speaks highly of the love that Elizabeth and I have shared. And I thank Elizabeth for putting up with me for all these years, not just the 30 plus years of marriage, but the 6 years we had together before that. So for all these years together, for putting up with me and my quirks and my challenges. Thank you, honey. And everybody else, I hope you can click on the link in our description and enjoy Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. I think the spiritual thought that I have for today ties in maybe with some of the themes, loosely at least, with some of the themes that I've been bringing up already. It was interesting as we started our ride today. Today, the group was a little bit more standoffish than it has been with other groups. Other groups have been quick to bond and mingle early in the day, even before we hit the trails, to talk and share and laugh. This group seemed a lot more hesitant. There were people who were around me who just stayed in their Jeeps or their vehicles and didn't get out and didn't talk. And the first couple of times that we did stop for one reason or another, people seemed very wary of speaking to me or others around. And it was fascinating for me that as the day went on, by the time we had lunch, people were talking freely, and there was a bond that had happened over the 3 previous hours of just shared experience and little glimpses of saying hi as we got in and out of our vehicles or gathered for 5 minutes or the 10 minutes while we were waiting for the Samurai to be fixed. And by the end of the day, people were texting each other and talking about getting together for pie, and fascinating to just see how particularly this group evolved throughout the day in the shared experience. And that just touches, as I said, on some of the themes I've thought about this week, and connection and community, as well as the differences that exist. This group, there were definitely some differences that existed politically and probably theologically in the group today. And there was some hesitation. But through shared experience, through time together, through laughing, joking, sharing stories, a camaraderie developed. And that says something to us about human nature. And maybe it goes back to giving some sort of answer to the question that I raised way back on day 1 in Winchester, Virginia, about how do we bridge the gaps and the divides that are so strong in our country. And maybe it has to do with talking, listening, spending time in shared experiences together, and maybe not starting right off by saying, hey, let's get to the bottom of our political or theological differences. Hey, let's discuss the things we disagree on, but rather, hey, let me tell you a little bit about who I am as a person and what I find meaningful, and let me share some stories about my life, even if it's as innocuous as these are the different Jeeps that I've owned throughout my life and which ones were a disaster and which ones were great. Maybe that can help us begin to bridge some of the gaps that exist, more than exist, that really are at the heart of the divisions in our country right now. So hold on to that, think about that. We are, after all God's children. So that about does it for today's video. Once again, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate just the number of views, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my trip. It's been such a solo adventure, exasperated so by COVID. Both yesterday and today, I had people invite me to go out with them and spend some time with them after wheeling, and I just wasn't completely comfortable with bringing people from such diverse areas around the country together to hang out and eat indoors. It's violating my personal COVID protocol. I'm 3,000 miles from home. I've been through 15 states. I've got another 5 to 8 more to go. That's a whole lot of exposure that I'm experiencing and that I'm providing for others. So I'm doing my best to really try and stay safe. And unfortunately, that has meant missing out on some of the social aspect of meeting people from around the country and spending time with them. But I know that I'm spending some time with each of you And I really am. When I'm on the ride, particularly when I'm filming, I'm well aware of the fact that I'm sharing this experience with anyone who chooses to watch. And so thank you for tuning in and for watching. Just a little bit of a heads up, tomorrow is the last day of the Jamboree, and I have, again, because of COVID, not attended any of the gatherings or functions associated with the Jamboree. I've just been wheeling, and I've only been outside for some gatherings that were just pre and post ride. So tomorrow I've told myself that I'm gonna go to, after the ride, I'm gonna head back to the main meeting area of the Jamboree and participate in some of the festivities that are going on, and just kind of hang out for a little while. I think I'd like to at least have a little bit of the social experience, do my best to stay safe and stay outside as much as possible. But that will mean delaying my video. I probably will choose to put the video out Sunday morning my time here instead of staying up extra late on Saturday night to do it then. So there might be a little bit of a delay in tomorrow's video. It'll be coming out probably a few hours after when you normally get it, because I finish them up normally around 9 o'clock local time here, and Christine then sends out information the next morning. So it'll be a little bit delayed. And I thank you for your patience and your understanding with that. But finally, again, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to continued adventures and continuing to share them with you all. Thank you.